My name is Mike Edmonds, and I currently work as a swine nutritionist for Kent Feeds. My job there entails developing nutritional programs that enhance pork production, help swine producers make more money, and also develop leaner pork products for today's consumer. I have a strong interest in human nutrition and have voluntarily developed this nutrition health seminar in an attempt to help people have a healthier lifestyle. This seminar will be very in-depth. It'll have a lot of detail, and I will cover a variety of nutrition and health topics. But hopefully when we're done, you'll learn some things that will truly make yourself better. The objectives in the seminar is to help educate students and adults on the basics of nutrition and developing healthier eating habits. Also to briefly discuss the benefits of exercise. We're going to discuss today the 5 key food groups in the My Pyramid, a publication from the United States government. There's 5 categories: fruits, vegetables, milk, meat, and beans, and grains. And shown on these 2 handouts here are the My Pyramid guidelines for these 5 categories. They're a front and back page, and there's 2 of them here that you can use. And they're available at the local county extension office here in Muscatine. So now to begin with, fruits and vegetables. They provide fiber. This is the parts of plant materials in the diet which are resistant to digestion by human enzymes. And enzymes shown at the bottom there are simply proteins that help make chemical reactions occur. They're found in citrus, raisins, apples, pears, peas, beans, and carrots. Makes you feel full. It prevents you from overeating. Fiber also absorbs water and prevents constipation. Fruits and vegetables also contain lycopene. This is a carotenoid, a yellow, red, and dark green coloring agent known for its antioxidant activity. And shown at the bottom there, antioxidants are substances found in foods which prevent small particles of oxygen, known as free radicals, from harming body tissues. They're found in tomatoes, cooked tomatoes, and tomato paste, such as spaghetti sauce and salsa. And we'll look at some samples of some tomato products now that have the lycopene in them. You can have the tomato sauce. You can have like a spaghetti sauce. Again, there's lots of different brands of these products out there. You can have a salsa, or if you grow your own tomatoes, you can use a salsa tomato mix, and that can be used to make salsa. And all these are really healthy products to consume, as long as you don't go too heavy on the chips if you're consuming the salsa. Lycopene helps reduce the risk of developing certain cancers. It also results in healthier blood vessels. Fruits and vegetables also contain flavonoids. And flavonoids, they are brightly colored plant pigments that occur naturally in most fruits and vegetables and serve as antioxidants. They're found in onions, broccoli, tomatoes, apples, strawberries. Tea is also shown here because it contains a lot of flavonoids and antioxidants, a very good thing to have in your diet, and grape juice. This results in healthier blood vessels and improves the immune system. Fruits and vegetables also contain sulforaphane. This is a phytochemical, and shown at the bottom, definition of phytochemical. It's a non-nutritive plant chemical that have protective or disease-preventive properties. Lycopene and flavonoids are also phytochemicals that we just covered. Now, sulforaphane is found in broccoli, cauliflower, and cabbage. These particular vegetables are very low in carbohydrates, roughly only 5 grams per serving. So this is ideal for diabetics as well. And it helps protect against cancer. Fruits and vegetables also supply most vitamins. Vitamins are essential for building body tissues such as muscle, skin, and blood, and they help in the digestion of the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins, which we'll talk about in a few moments. Just some examples of vitamins. Vitamin D, it's added to milk in the United States. It enables our body to absorb calcium and phosphorus, and it's shown to decrease cancer. Vitamin C is found in green peppers, broccoli, citrus fruits, tomatoes, and strawberries. It helps maintain the fat, muscle, and bone framework within our body. It is also an antioxidant, and it protects our immune system, which helps our body fight infections. Now, looking at minerals, there's two classes of minerals. A major mineral, such as calcium and phosphorus and others shown here, they're required in much larger amounts in the body to provide a healthy diet. And then there are your trace minerals, such as zinc and iron and the others shown here. And these are needed in much smaller amounts, but all of them are very important to have in a healthy diet. Calcium. Calcium is found in dairy products, fish, and dark green leafy vegetables. It's in bones and teeth. It helps with our cells sending messages. It also keeps our muscles moving smoothly, and it aids in blood clotting. Milk provides calcium. It also supplies potassium and sodium, two important minerals. It's fortified with vitamins A and D, and milk also supplies protein. And we ask the question here, what is protein? Protein is made up of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and sulfur. And 1 gram of protein has 4 calories. Examples of protein would be hair, muscle, and note here with muscle, every pound of muscle requires 40 to 120 calories per day to sustain itself. That's very important in being able to burn more calories. Hemoglobin are the red blood cells which carry oxygen in our blood. And when you consume excess protein in your diet, it's simply converted to glucose, which is a sugar, and that's converted over into energy. Now let's compare two milk sources. We have a 2% milk compared to a fat-free milk. And if we look at this, as we move into this discussion, we're getting into the area of fats here. Saturated fat, we got 3.5 grams on the 2%, but none on the fat-free. Your calories also are lower. Cholesterol is a little lower as well on the milk. But what's really important here is that bottom footnote. Fat is a learned response, and you can learn not to like fat. It takes about 8 weeks to go from 2% to a fat-free milk. And again, if you try to do this overnight and go from 2% to fat-free, you'll think you're just tasting water, and that's what it'll taste like, but it takes about 8 weeks to make that conversion. Now we're going to get into appetite. And appetite is regulated by a satiety center in your hypothalamus, which is there in your brain. There's two key hormones, leptin and ghrelin, that are important here. Leptin is made by fat cells and helps decrease your appetite. Now, higher levels are seen in overweight people, but many obese people have what's called leptin resistance. They don't respond to leptin signals to decrease your appetite. Also, cells become more responsive to leptin by daily walking, increasing your muscle mass, and losing weight. Ghrelin is released primarily by your stomach, and it increases hunger. The stomach secretes ghrelin and pulses every 30 minutes. And if you're real hungry or you're trying to do deprivation dieting, they secrete every 20 minutes and they're amplified. And this is why deprivation dieting can never work. The ghrelin's going to increase fast enough and make you want to eat. High fructose corn syrup. It does not suppress appetite. Basically, your body wants to keep eating when you're consuming it, according to a couple medical doctors that are authors of You on a Diet from 2006. And Americans consume 63 pounds of high fructose corn syrup every year. That is 128,000 calories. And foods with high fructose corn syrup, and they may be labeled as low fat or fat free, are found in salad dressings and regular soft drinks. And let's look at let's look at a healthier salad dressing here. This is a light vinaigrette. Again, there's a number of good brands out there that can be used, but when you look at a label, and we're going to cover labels here shortly, there's water and vinegar and oils that we're going to be going over, and very, very low sugar here. Basically oils and vinegars and some pretty healthy things. And this is the type of salad dressing that would be healthier to have in a diet, rather than those that have ingredient labels that are loaded with high fructose corn syrup. Sugar consumption in the United States is around 150 pounds per year. So the line here is read your food and drink labels. One of the keys is to minimize sugar and high fructose corn syrup. Sometimes just drinking water will satisfy the appetite center by quenching thirst rather than trying to fill the stomach with food. Simply drinking water can oftentimes help with hunger. For appetite, for weight loss, you need to avoid drinking excessive alcohol. It provides calories, it lowers your inhibition, and inhibits leptin. Keep a list of emergency foods when cravings get the best of you. That can be a handful of nuts, pieces of fruit, and cut up vegetables. Now we're going to switch into and discuss body fat. 1 pound of body fat equals 3,500 calories. And every pound of fat requires only 1 to 3 calories per day to sustain itself. This is in sharp contrast to what happens with laying down protein and muscle, because with muscle, we use 40 to 120 calories per day to sustain a pound of muscle, whereas fat's only 1 to 3. Losing fat also results in greater secretions of adiponectin. This is a stress and inflammation reducing chemical that is related to the hunger controlling hormone leptin. Being overweight leads directly also to higher blood pressure and markedly enhances the risk for diabetes. We look at excessive body fat or obesity here and look at omentum fat. This is belly fat. It contributes to type 2 diabetes by it makes it difficult to get glucose, sugar, into your cells to be utilized. It reduces the sensitivity of the cells in the body to effectively use insulin, and that's called insulin resistance. And it can tie up insulin so you don't have the insulin levels needed to get glucose into your cells. Increased blood sugar via diabetes can also weaken the joints in your artery walls. It increases blood pressure. It triggers a process whereby red blood cells limit the release of oxygen to tissues. It causes swelling and loss of functions in nerves, and it restricts nutrients from getting to your small blood vessels. Now, if we look at fats, they are a major source of energy. They aid in the absorption of vitamins A, D, E, and K. When consumed in moderation, fat is important for proper growth, development, and maintenance of good health. It provides taste, consistency, and helps us feel full. And 1 gram of fat has 9 calories compared to a gram of protein that has 4 calories. Fatty acids are the building blocks of fats. They're saturated fats. These are solid at room temperature, and examples are butter, lard, and palm oil. And here's an example of lard. Again, a real solid white fat here. And then if we switch over and talk about monounsaturated fats, these are liquid at room temperature. They get thicker when chilled. And here's the examples of those. This would be canola oil. And then up here in the front is our olive oil. These are 2 very healthy oils to have in a diet. Polyunsaturated fats, they're also liquid at room temperature, but they stay liquid when chilled. And there's examples here. Very familiar to all of us in the Midwest here, corn and soybean type oils. They're referred to as omega-6. And then here's another brand of oil, and this contains canola and olive oil and soybean oil, nice mixtures and ratios that are healthy for a diet, as well as in the front here is a buttery spread that also contains these mixtures of oils. Now, another type of oil, and in reference to the corn and soybean oil, omega-6 is a chemical term that's used to identify these type of oils on their structure. Fish oil are referred to as omega-3s, again referring to the chemistry of the oil. And again, we'll talk about those in a moment. Trans fats. This is a specific type of fat formed when liquid oils are made into solid fats. Shortening and hard margarine are examples of these. We're going to come up here and pull out this sample of shortening. And to know that if it's got trans fats in it, you need to read the label. Under ingredients, it says partially hydrogenated soybean and cottonseed oils here. The term is partially hydrogenated. If those terms are on this label, there's trans fats in this product. And it's also shown on the food label we're going to talk about in a few moments. Now we'll move on. The last point on this slide is that saturated and trans fats are often used in donuts, pastries, cakes, and pies. Omega-3 fatty acids, health benefits. They do reduce fat levels in the blood. They're a very healthy type of fat to have in the acid omega-3s. There's two essential forms, eicosapentaenoic acid, EPA, or docosahexaenoic acid, DHA. These are found in fish oil. Another form is alpha-linolenic acid, this abbreviated ALA. This is found in walnuts, flaxseed, soy nuts, and canola oil. Now, cholesterol. Cholesterol protects our cell membranes. It helps enable our nerve cells to send messages back and forth. It's a building block for vitamin D and several hormones. It enables our gallbladder, and that's a small pouch located near your liver, to make bile acids which aid in the digestion of fat. And generally, our tissues make enough for their needs. Now, lipoproteins. This is a fat and protein particle that carries cholesterol through your blood. They're referred to as low-density lipoprotein, LDL, or high-density lipoprotein, HDL. Now, these are very technical type terms, and on the next slide, we're going to go to the easier way of remembering these types of cholesterol. LDL. This is the lousy or the bad type of cholesterol. This carries cholesterol into your blood vessels where it can cling to the inside wall to form plaque that can eventually block an artery. That's much like if you go to a dentist and they're cleaning your teeth and removing all that plaque. It's kind of like that. You're getting plaque buildup into your blood vessels, and that's not a good thing. Now, saturated and trans fats and dietary cholesterol raise the LDL in the blood. HDL. This is healthy or good cholesterol. This cannot pass through your blood cells, so they carry cholesterol out of the body rather than into your artery walls. Now, healthy fats like monounsaturated fats, and we talked about those earlier, the olive oil, canola oil, and those can help increase your healthy cholesterol, your HDL. And trans fats lower HDL cholesterol in the blood. So trans fats lower your healthy cholesterol, and they raise your LDL, your unhealthy cholesterol. So trans fats do a couple things that are clearly not good for us. Now let's look at meat. You want to choose lean meats. They contain good sources of iron, zinc, and vitamin B12. They provide quality protein. And one component of protein is an amino acid called tryptophan, which increases serotonin. That's the feel-good hormone levels in your brain. And when you have low levels of serotonin in the brain, that can create in your body a sense of starvation, which increases your cravings for carbohydrates. Now let's compare two hamburger sources, an 80% lean compared to a 93% lean. Notice here that saturated fat is at 9 grams and 80% lean, but then it's reduced to 3.5 grams in the 93% lean. So the point here is reducing your saturated fat is good here by choosing lean meats and getting healthy protein. Calories are also reduced in the leaner meat, and cholesterol doesn't change that much. Now we're going to look at a food label and spend some time here. Food labels, they start there at the top. They have the serving size listed, and this happens to be for rolled oats. They give you the servings in a container. They go over the calories in each serving size. They list there, you see total fat, saturated fat, trans fat, polyunsaturated fat, monounsaturated fat. Those are listed. Cholesterol, sodium, total carbohydrates. And this is important because if you're diabetic, you're going to look at the amount of carbohydrate loads in each of the meals you consume. And here's also dietary fiber, a very positive nutrient we're going to talk about, broken down into soluble and insoluble fiber. Sugars are listed, proteins are listed, vitamins over here. And then if you look at the percent daily values, this is on a 2,000 calorie diet. You see that the total fat's supposed to be less than 65 grams for a healthy diet, saturated fat less than 20 grams, cholesterol less than 300 milligrams, sodium shown there, total carbohydrate, and then dietary fiber. And the points here are you want to have, in regard to saturated fat, on a 2,000 calorie diet, you want to have 20 grams or less per day to have a healthy diet. And you also really want to increase the fiber intake into a diet, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, these slides here are referring to 3-ounce cooked servings, and this is basically a serving size of meat. And we're going to start here. This is from our United States Department of Agriculture. And we're looking here at a beef top sirloin. It shows calories, saturated fat, total fat, cholesterol, and the type of method used to cook it. And I really just want to focus in primarily on saturated fat here. Notice there's 2.2 grams in this serving of beef top sirloin. That's a very low level. Fits very well into a dietary guideline. We've got lean beef there. Look at the next sample here. This is a pork top loin chop, boneless. And again, all the nutrients are shown. And notice here for this serving size of pork that the saturated fat is less than 2 grams. And over the years, improved genetics and improved nutrition have resulted in very lean, healthy type of meats, and this is shown here in this sample of pork. Look at chicken breast, skinless chicken breast. Here it has just under 1 gram of saturated fat. Again, a healthy type of meat. And then if we look at fish, an example of cod, very low in saturated fat, total fat, and that's shown. But really, the key to the last 4 slides here is that the saturated fat levels are around 2 grams or less in these samples, and those fit very nicely for a serving size to fit into a healthy diet. And with these types of meats and fish and poultry and all, you get quality protein, minerals, and vitamins in your diet. Now, beans, another one of the nutrients that's shown on the charts from the United States government, good sources of protein and iron. They're very low in fat, and they contain good amounts of fiber. And here's some samples of some beans. Again, there's many brands out there and lots of them, but beans are a good thing. And if you look on these containers and read the labels, very high in dietary fiber, and dietary fiber is a really good thing to have in your diet. And speaking of dietary fiber, we'll get into 2 types of fiber. There's an insoluble found in whole grains, wheat bran, peas, and beans. And then there's a soluble fiber found in apples, strawberries, citrus, fruits, oats, oat bran, barley, peas, and beans. And notice that eating the entire fruit rather than just drinking the juice results in a lower rise in blood sugar due to the fiber being in the fruit. And we'll cover more about that in a moment. Also, it lowers cholesterol circulating in your blood. So let's look here in a moment at some fiber and types of products. Again, shown here, this is 100% whole wheat bread. Read the ingredient label. It's stone ground whole wheat flour. That is a real positive source of getting whole grains, and those are the insoluble fibers. Now, we're going to come over here and take a sample, and this is some oat bran. I'm going to pour some water in this. And we'll stir this up a moment. We'll come back and look at this in a little while and see what's happened to this oat bran when we put the water in it. And then also here, as far as looking at whole grains, a number of the companies have developed some very nice products. You've got Cheerios here, you've got Smart Start. These products here contain oat products and other ingredients that are real good for you, but they have sources of whole grains, and that is a good thing to have in your diet. And then you can also consume, again, a sample of consuming fiber in the diet. And again, a good way of getting it in there is to use some quality cereals like these. And then that last point on this slide here is that cattle can digest most dietary fibers, but you and I as humans, we're not able to do that. What is whole grain? Whole grain contains all three of its original components. This is the outer shell or bran, which contains the fiber, which you want, and B vitamins. Germ, which has phytochemicals, remember those are real positive in our diet, and B vitamins. And endosperm, which consists of carbohydrates and protein. The key point is that the grain is whole and not refined by stripping away the bran and the germ. You want the label to state 100% whole grain. Benefits of whole grain. They're absorbed more slowly compared to enriched or bleached flour. There's a slower absorption of sugars, which results in a smaller increase in glucose and insulin levels. The end result is you stay fuller longer. Now here's what you need to watch out for on a label. Enriched, bleached, unbleached. A number of other terms here like 100% wheat. Could have some or a lot or no whole wheat. Multigrain does not indicate if the grains are whole or refined. And whole grain blend usually doesn't have that much whole fiber at all. And there's a couple samples up here to look at. We've got, again, whole wheat flour. This is a real darker flour because it has the bran and the germ and everything in it. But then here's your enriched or your bleached flour. Real white. They've removed the bran, a lot of the vitamins, a lot of the phytochemicals and things. And you want to try to get more of the whole grains into your diet. Now, carbohydrates. Carbohydrate means carbon plus water, and these are sugar compounds. A simple carbohydrate has 1 unit of sugar, such as fructose, fruit sugar, glucose, galactose. Carbohydrates have 2 units of sugar. Sucrose is fructose plus glucose. That's your table sugar. Lactose is your glucose plus galactose, your milk sugar. And then starch contains many glucose units, pasta, rice, and potatoes. And 1 gram of carbohydrates has 4 calories. And also shown up here on the table is a sample of pasta, whole wheat spaghetti. Again, using some of these, and sometimes using these products, you may have to blend them to get used to them, but over time, if you blend and do that, you can get used to getting more of the whole grains into your diet. Glucose provides energy to cells to produce heat and adenosine triphosphate. And ATP is a molecule that stores and releases energy as required by the cell. Excess amounts of glucose are converted to fat. Glycemic index. What is it? Well, it's a measure of the speed at which you digest food and convert it to glucose to sugar. Why is it important? Eating foods with high glycemic indexes results in a surge of glucose followed by a rapid drain in glucose, which leaves us starved for energy. So the glycemic index is a measure of the quality of a carbohydrate, but does not account for the quantity or amount of carbohydrate in a diet. The term glycemic load refers to the amount or quantity of a carbohydrate as well as the quality, the glycemic index, in an equation to determine, again, this is a very important term, glycemic load, but we're not going to discuss this in this presentation. So we're going to move on and discuss on the next 4 slides the glycemic index, a very important term in nutrition. And let's look at glycemic index. If we look at this chart, this is the change in blood glucose level after you consume a meal over the first 1 to 2 hours here. And if you look at the high glycemic index, that's shown in red, this would be if you consume sugars, candies, lots of white flour, things like that. You're going to get a real spike in your glucose level very early on, and then it'll taper down in the red line. Now the low glycemic index. This is if you consume many types of vegetables, a good majority of your fruits, or foods that contain more fiber in them, less refined foods. You're going to have a slower rise in glucose shown in the blue bar, and then it'll taper down. And that's a better thing, as we'll discuss on the next slides. A rapid spike in blood sugar results in your pancreas releasing insulin. And the insulin reduces the level of glucose in your blood to be used by your tissues or stores glucose as fat. Insulin also inhibits the conversion of body fat back into glucose for the body to use. So it makes it crucial to maintain low insulin levels when losing weight, and thus avoiding high glycemic index foods. This shows an example of a baked potato has a high glycemic index, but if you add some low-fat cheese or low-fat sour cream to the potato, the digestive process is slowed. This in turn lowers the glycemic index value to a more acceptable level. And also, consuming protein, healthy fat, and fiber in a meal helps decrease the glycemic index of foods. Glycemic index. This slide summarizes some key points here. You want to consume more good carbs. Good carbs are those whole grains, vegetables, and fruits. You want to reduce the amount of refined or bad carbs. That would be your processed foods, white flour, sugar, high fructose corn syrup, and candy. Now let's look at a regular pop or soda compared to a diet pop or soda. And again, the brands here are not important. It's just comparing the regular to the diet. Notice that with the regular, we have 100 calories in this small serving here compared to none with the diet. And what's shown there at the bottom in the regular is that basically the regular contains high fructose corn syrup and or sugar with no nutrients. And as a nutritionist, we classify this as something that contains empty calories. You're getting all the calories, but you're not getting minerals and vitamins and other nutrients. And let's take a moment here and look at a sample of, we're going to look at this. This is a 24-ounce container of, if you're going to go out and buy a regular pop or soda, and we're going to come up and look at how much sugar is in this particular container. And this is 24 ounces, so it's going to take a while here. And this is a half cup that this is being poured into. And we'll get all this out here. Again, in this 24-ounce container, look at the amount of sugar that come out of this pop or soda, a regular one. That's 20 teaspoons of sugar. That's 300 calories, and you didn't get any other nutrients with it but the calories. So the bottom line here is, if you're going to drink soda and pop, it's better to learn to drink more of those that are diet with the sweeteners in them, so that you don't drink your calories, which would result in weight gain in that. So you want to try to learn more to drink more towards the diet side. Food in the body. Fat, fiber, and protein have a positive effect on satiety. Eating a few nuts due to the fat before a meal helps tell your brain that your stomach is fuller, so you eat your meal for pleasure, not hunger. Fiber helps stop food cravings by slowing down digestion. Fiber in the morning helps you be less hungry in the afternoon. This is a really important point. Consuming fiber in the morning can help you be less hungry in the afternoon. Really important. Fiber helps control your blood sugar levels too. Notice that fiber does a lot of very positive things, and we really want to get more fiber into our diets. Carbohydrates have the least effect on satiety. Consuming simple sugars, those regular soft drinks we just looked at, jelly, cake, candy bars, they provide a surge of energy. You get that elevated blood sugar level for only about 2 hours. But after 2 hours, you want more of these simple sugars, and the process starts over. And also here with food in the body, you don't want to starve yourself for more than 12 hours, as your metabolic rate actually goes down by 40%. In other words, your body goes into a storage rather than a burning mode. So it's important to have regular meals throughout the day and not starve yourself. Food allergies. More than 90% of all allergic reactions to foods are caused by just 8 foods. Milk's the most common, 2.5% of the population. Also wheat. Wheat contains glutens, a type of protein which causes celiac disease. And celiac disease is where you have gas and bloating and in the stomach. You can get diarrhea. It's just a real uncomfortable type of thing, and a number of people have allergies to the gluten proteins in wheat. Peanuts, most potentially lethal. You really have to be careful if you have peanut allergies. Tree nuts, soybean-based foods, eggs, fish, and shellfish. Again, these are all different types of food allergies that you want to be aware of in your diet. Inflammation in the body. In your gut, foods can cause inflammation of the intestinal wall through allergies, bacteria, or other toxins. In many ways, eating unhealthy foods causes chronic infections that triggers immune responses which cause inflammation. One goal of the body is to get glucose into brain cells. But inflammation in your body prevents sugar from getting to those cells. The result is you end up wanting more glucose and eating more sugary foods, which in turn increases inflammation. Now, when you decrease your body's inflammatory response, you'll decrease your weight and your waist size as well. Inflammation in the body, key points here. It ages your body by making your arteries less elastic. It increases atherosclerosis, the rusting of blood vessels. You're more likely to damage DNA, which can become cancerous. It increases infections. It stresses your body, and obesity is a disease of inflammation. To minimize inflammation, you want to eat healthy foods. Omega-3 fatty acids, and we'll look at some of those up here. We've got examples here of tuna fish. This sample here is your walnuts. Again, right on the label, good sources of omega-3 fatty acids. Or besides that, you can either consume other types of fish, or you can take fish oil, or use some of these walnuts. These are good examples of omega-3 fatty acids, good for your diet. Some other foods that have evidence for anti-inflammatory effects are soy products, and we'll look at one here. Again, this is a type of product out there mentioned as a soy milk, and this can have some real positive things in your diet as well if you want to mix that in with some of your consumption of other types of milk. Going back to the bullets here, we have flaxseed, tea, fruits such as grapes, vegetables, your broccoli, cabbage, spinach, dark chocolate, and garlic. These are foods that have evidence for anti-inflammatory effects on you. You want to avoid high amounts of sugar or sucrose as it causes inflammation. Just avoid the high amounts. Okay, now we're going to look at some healthier foods, and we're going to discuss here 6 different food items. The first couple that we look at are going to involve more meal type foods, and then we're going to look at 4 others that are more healthier treats. And let's look at this first one called James's Quick and Thick Chili. This contains lean meat, onions, pinto beans, tomatoes, tomato sauce, and taco seasoning. Notice this is a really healthy food. It's got all the good kind of foods that you want to have in a diet. So it's a real easy recipe to make, and it does taste very good. Okay, the next item is what's called a stuffed whole wheat pizza. And this pizza contains whole wheat flour, vegetables, garlic, tomato sauce, and to get more flavor in it, you can use a pizza sauce here, and part skim mozzarella cheese. Again, an example, and also it's just a very healthy kind of pizza because you're getting some fiber in your diet, and you're using some of the lower fat cheeses and some other nice nutrients there as well. Okay, now we're going to look at some healthier treats. We'll start with the chocolate chip bar cookies. And these contain instant pudding and applesauce, which replaces the shortening. And what's positive here is we're replacing shortening that has those trans fats. Remember those partially hydrogenated oils. We want to avoid those in our diet, and this replaces the shortening, makes us healthier. Also has whole wheat flour and oats. Now we'll look at another one called Rocky Road Cake Brownies. And these contain cocoa, which have nice antioxidant activity in them. Walnuts we've talked about with omega-3s. The Splenda, the reduced calorie sweetener. Also reduced fat baking mix and a no-fat sour cream. The next item is an oatmeal apple raisin cookie. And the title's already healthy. If we just use other ingredients with it, it'll be even better for us. And you see we've got applesauce in it, whole wheat flour, canola oil, skim milk. There's also eggs in this recipe, and eggs are a real high quality protein source as well that you can have in your diet, as well as some cinnamon in the recipe as well. And then the last one here is a fudgy chocolate dessert. This contains a cake mix with pumpkin mixed in, and pumpkin's loaded with vitamin A and fiber, contains almonds and several fat-free ingredients. These 4 treats have been really have gone over well with some of the elementary kids and some of the high school kids that I've spoken with, and even the teachers have liked a number of these, including that fudgy chocolate dessert. That one's been real popular. So the healthier treats and foods. These recipes and notes from this talk today can be obtained by contacting myself, Michael Edmonds, at 563-264-4377. If you'll leave me a voicemail, I will return the call, and I'll get you any of the notes and the recipes from this talk today. And we've got a few more slides to go here now to finish up. Healthy diet summary. Follow the basics in My Pyramid. Or see the mypyramid.gov website. It's a very good website. Automate your breakfast, lunch, and snacks. Get healthy breakfast, lunch, and snacks as part of a routine. Change up your dinner options. Have 3 main meals plus snacks and don't be hungry. Eat whole grain carbohydrates, fiber, nuts, healthy fats, lean meats, and fish, and eat plenty of vegetables and fruits. And now we're going to go back and look here a moment at that sample of oat bran where we put the water in. Notice if you look at this now, and I'm pressing on it here, it's a gel. And this fiber, what it does, the water helps expand it and it fills your stomach. It prevents you from overeating, and it just does many, many good things we've talked about today. So fiber is a good thing. Other summary here. We want to minimize foods and drinks with added sugars and high fructose corn syrup. Avoid foods with trans fats. Minimize foods with non-whole grain flour and enriched and/or bleached flour. And in a hunger emergency, consume fruit, cut up vegetables, nuts, water, low-fat yogurt, low-fat cottage cheese, and/or a healthy type of soup. Other parts of a healthy diet summary here. Drink water. And up here we've got examples of this. There's flavored waters. Again, there's a number of different brands of products that are out there. You can get them in the bottle form, or you can get them in powdered forms here. Again, there's many different brands that are used, and they use some of the sweeteners and things in them to keep the calories down. You can also get your water by drinking teas, whether it be through a tea bags, or whether you use loose leaf tea. Another real nice way of getting real good flavor into your tea with the loose leaf variety. But you want to drink water. You want to also use smaller plates. And here's an example of a 9-inch plate rather than those big 12 and 13-inch plates that are often used, because this helps control portion size. And when you go to restaurants, what's one of the first things that happens? They bring out a plate that's really huge with big portions on there, and that's just too much. So if you can use smaller plates, it'll help you reduce the amount of food you consume, which is healthier. Also here, make healthy desserts an every other day treat and consume them in moderation. Above all, see your physician, and if needed, seek out qualified nutritionists and/or dietitians. And I want to repeat this. If you're going to be working on losing weight, trying to get a healthier weight and that, you really need to see your physician, because that way you really get a lot of things covered, you know where you stand, and then you can work towards a lot of these notes and tips on trying to have a healthier diet and exercise we're going to talk about. Find a support partner. That's always good, to have a friend or a partner if you're working on reducing weight and that, to have someone help. And above all, it's okay to make mistakes, because we all make them, with the main idea to get back on track. Now let's switch to exercise, a very important part of when you have a healthy diet and you combine exercise in there, you really get a nice mix and a healthy lifestyle. Exercise. It increases your metabolism, so you burn energy at a higher rate than if you did not exercise. It reduces your appetite by inhibiting neuropeptide Y, and this is a protein that is found in your hypothalamus or your brain. It stimulates the release of endorphins, which stimulate the pleasure centers in your brain, so you have better control on not overeating. It helps, also the benefits of exercise, it helps you lose weight. A lighter weight results in less stress on your joints. It lowers the LDL, the lousy cholesterol, and it increases your HDL, the healthy cholesterol. It makes your heart muscle stronger. It helps keep your blood vessels open and clog-free, and it helps lower blood pressure. Other benefits of exercise: it helps decrease depression and increases a positive attitude, so food is not used so much as a medication. It can reduce stress, and it makes muscles more sensitive to insulin, which allows sugar to get into your cells. And that, again, is a very important part of exercise, is helping get more of your sugar into your cells. Recommended exercises: walking 30 minutes most days of the week. That can be 2 10 or 15 minute walks during the day. Doesn't all have to be at one time, just some additional walking, parking a little farther from work and walking into the office. Stamina training: this is swimming, cycling, running, working out at various places with some of the machines that are there to burn and get your heart rate up for 1 hour per week. This can be like 3 20-minute workouts. Yoga or stretching, again, 30 minutes per week is good. Resistance training: this is strength training, like lifting weights, working with Pilates, and other types of ways of trying to build and muscle in your body. Well, the references used in this nutrition health seminar, there's several here. The owner's manual by a couple doctors here, published in 2005. Again, a nutrition book was used, questions and answers about trans fat, and the medicinenet.com is a very good website for obtaining information as well. Further references: You on a Diet. This was published in 2006. And then the glycemic index, which we covered earlier. Cookbooks with healthier recipes by Joanna M. Lund. Now, Joanna Lund passed away in 2006, but she no doubt is going to help a lot of people, because she wrote a lot of nice cookbooks here, and she called them healthy exchanges. And there are many of them listed here. They can be found in bookstores and or like an auction site like an eBay. Other cookbooks with healthier recipes. Again, there's several listed here, and there's many of them out there. The main point is to find some books and make sure that they show you more about what's in them in the actual food you make. So they break out the fats and the carbohydrates, and they show you a lot of the nutrients in the food and the calories and that, so you at least know more about what you're making. Again, you can find these in libraries, bookstores, again, and or something like an eBay. In summary, I want to give special thanks to Dr. David H. Baker, Professor Emeritus of Nutrition, University of Illinois, for his critical review of this presentation. I was very fortunate to have Dr. Baker as my graduate school advisor in both my master's and PhD degrees. Dr. Baker is a top-notch scientist, does outstanding work, and I'm glad to this day that he and I continue to collaborate on a number of nutritional projects and what we're doing, and a number of studies that we conduct and work on, and that's been nice for me to do that with him. Also, I want to say that you really want to use the MyPyramid charts. They're really good charts published by the U.S. government. Again, you can obtain those at the local county extension office. I want to also thank you for listening today. There was a lot of technical material that we went over. We covered a lot of nutrition, a lot of principles of nutrition and health. And hopefully, when you look at all the things we covered, including the exercise, and you put all this together, you'll have a healthier lifestyle, you'll have better diets to use, you'll incorporate exercise into a routine, and the bottom line from all this was to make yourself better.